The Boys Season 5 trailer breakdown, hidden details, Gen V connections, and comic Easter eggs explained. The wait is almost over. The Boys Season 5 is right around the corner, bringing with it a highly anticipated double-episode premiere on April 8th. After the absolute chaos and heart-stopping cliffhangers of the Season 4 finale, where our heroes were captured, separated, and left entirely at Vought's mercy, the brand-new trailer has officially dropped. And let me tell you, it is packed to the absolute brim with hidden details, deep-cut comic references, and major tie-ins to the wider Prime Video superhero universe. If you thought things couldn't get more unhinged after the political assassinations and soup virus reveals of last season, think again. The stakes have never been higher, the battle lines are permanently drawn, and it looks like both Vought's elite soups and our favorite ragtag group of underground vigilantes are gearing up for a worldwide bloodbath. This is the final season, meaning Eric Kripke and the writing team are taking the gloves off. No one is safe. Let's dive deep into this new footage, break down exactly what's happening frame by frame, and explore the mind-blowing comic Easter eggs you might have missed on your first watch. Homelander's God Complex and the return of V1. The trailer immediately sets a chilling, dystopian tone, opening with Homelander addressing a massive, fiercely loyal crowd. But it's how he's positioned that tells the real, terrifying story. Framed deliberately in front of a giant crucifix, the cinematography explicitly paints out his new modus operandi. Homelander no longer just wants to be loved by the masses. He wants to become a literal god. He has moved past corporate PR and has fully embraced religious fanaticism to control his followers. To achieve true, unkillable godhood, it seems he needs to go back to the source. The footage heavily implies a desperate search for the original version of Compound V known in the lore as V1. For those who might need a refresher, V1 is the unadulterated, incredibly potent formula originally created by Frederick Vought during World War II. It basically granted super longevity and near immortality, the exact same serum currently running through the veins of long-living soups like Stormfront and Soldier Boy. Homelander is starting to realize he is aging, and his ego cannot handle mortality. Speaking of Soldier Boy, we know he's currently being kept on ice inside a heavily guarded Vought Tower room following the events of Season 3. Homelander is clearly keeping his biological father close by. The trailer hints that Homelander intends to extract the secrets of V1 from Soldier Boy's blood, or worse, use him as a twisted, brainwashed pawn in his upcoming holy war against humanity. The twisted dynamic between these two indestructible narcissists is guaranteed to be a focal point of the season. Butcher's desperate endgame and Gen V healing theories. On the flip side of Homelander's divine delusions, we have Billy Butcher, who is fighting a ticking clock inside his own body. There's a massive amount of religious imagery surrounding the overarching conflict this season, framing it as an apocalyptic holy war between Homelander's angels and Butcher's gritty, deeply flawed humanity. Butcher is back with the gang, which actually answers a massive question left hanging at the end of Season 4. Remember that terrifying cliffhanger? Butcher drove off into the night, his darker, monstrous, V-tumor-induced alter ego fully taking the wheel after brutally ripping Newman apart. Yet, the new footage clearly shows him reunited and cooperating with Huey, Frenchie, Kamiko, and Starlight. So, how did he bounce back from the brink of total villainy? The answer might lie directly in the spin-off series. If you caught Gen V, you know that Marie Moreau's blood manipulation powers evolved to the point where she could actively heal people, stopping massive hemorrhages and manipulating blood flow to save lives. It's a massive plot point, and since the Gen V kids are now heavily entangled with the main cast, it's highly probable that Marie uses her abilities to heal Butcher. She might be the only person on Earth capable of effectively curing, or at least suppressing, his deadly Compound V-induced brain tumors and keeping the monstrous, tentacled alter ego at bay. We also get a grim look at a facility absolutely littered with bodies. While initially giving off Sage Grove psychiatric hospital vibes, the teaser confirms this is the Fort Harmony Medical Department. This highly classified location could very well be where V1 is stored. Seeing Butcher standing ominously surrounded by dead soups brings back major memories of the Garth Ennis comics, specifically the infamous Russia arc. In the source material, Butcher figures out how to detonate Compound V inside a soup's bloodstream, essentially turning their powers against them. In the comics, Butcher's ultimate endgame is attempting to scale the Empire State Building to trigger a frequency that would instantly kill every Supe on Earth, regardless of the collateral damage. Could Fort Harmony be the testing ground for Butcher unleashing a perfected, airborne version of the anti-Supe virus? Or is it a devastating attack by Homelander to silence scientists? Either way, the body count this season is going to be astronomical. Supe concentration camps and A-Train's redemption. One of the most disturbing, dystopian reveals in the initial teasers was the sight of a massive Supe-themed concentration camp. We now know this terrifying facility is run by Vernon Correction Services, a ruthless private prison corporation originally owned by the late Tech Knight. It's a dark, biting commentary on the real-world, prisoner-for-profit system, now completely weaponized by Vought against anyone who dares to oppose Homelander's new regime. The visual details packed into these scenes are incredibly grim and purely psychological torture. Inmates are forced to wear humiliating sweaters adorned with stars and stripes, directly mirroring Homelander's iconic cape. The camp is plastered with aggressively friendly, corporate-approved Supe imagery, including massive, Big Brother-style smiling portraits of Homelander and chillingly cheerful signs reading, "Firm but fair." The heavily armed guards and brutal enforcement, however, tell a much darker story of systemic oppression. Interestingly, this camp seems to be an open-air facility, suggesting it might be designed primarily for political prisoners, dissenting journalists, and regular human adversaries rather than actual superpowered beings. Gen V already showed us that Vought has the Wood's specialized, high-tech, underground containment facilities for neutralizing superpowered individuals. This open-air camp is meant to be a public warning. But that doesn't mean Supes aren't breaking into the camp to tear it down. Both Starlight and A-Train are prominently spotted infiltrating the facility in the trailer. A-Train's involvement is massive and represents one of the best character arcs in the series. Following his slow realization of Vought's evil and his actions in recent seasons, he is now fully aligned with the boys. We get a glimpse of an incredible, high-speed action sequence that feels heavily inspired by Quicksilver's famous slow-motion scenes in the X-Men films. As A-Train speeds through the camp taking out guards, he rushes past a Turbo Rush energy drink advertisement and a Homelander poster. It brilliantly and visually symbolizes him literally running past his past corporate chains and the man he used to bow down to. Family feuds, Soldier Boy, Ryan, and the battle for the soul. The familial dynamics and generational trauma this season are going to be explosive. Soldier Boy is officially back on the board. While Homelander opening his cryogenic chamber suggests a potential father-son team-up to rule the world, Soldier Boy remains the ultimate, unpredictable wild card. Historically, Soldier Boy fought against fascism, or at least, Vought's brand of it, during World War II, and he has already turned against Homelander once, famously calling him a F*******ing disappointment. Throw his superpowered grandson, Ryan, into the mix and you have a recipe for an absolute nuclear disaster. Will Soldier Boy side with his megalomaniac son, or will he stand up to him once again, perhaps trying to mold Ryan in his own toxic image? Ryan himself is at a terrifying psychological crossroads. We see a chilling, blink-and-you-miss-it shot of him covered in blood, his eyes glowing a menacing red, looking exactly like his sociopathic father. Homelander is clearly pushing Ryan to embrace his dark side, stripping away his empathy and even sending heavily armed SWAT teams to physically test the boy's limits and force him to kill. But Butcher hasn't given up on the boy. This season will ultimately be a tug-of-war for Ryan's soul. Butcher is desperately trying to reinforce the humanity and love that Becca fought so hard and died to instill in him. The tragedy of this arc is palpable. It might even come down to a heartbreaking, impossible scenario where Ryan is pushed to the brink of killing his father, forcing Butcher to step in and do the deed himself to spare the boy from crossing that psychological point of no return. Butcher promised Becca he would keep Ryan safe, and keeping his soul intact might be his final redeeming act. Hidden details, Black Noir, Ashley's secret, and the Deep. The trailer is sprinkled with fascinating, darkly comedic subplots that are sure to pay off in huge, bloody ways. The Black Noir setup. We see a terrifying sequence where Huey is tied to a chair, screaming, while someone is brutally murdered right in front of him. A closer look at the killer's tactical uniform reveals a distinct Vought logo. It heavily implies that the new Black Noir, who, remember, is secretly just an actor playing a role after Homelander killed the original, has been dispatched to frame the boys for high-profile murders. This will likely push our heroes to the absolute top of the FBI's most wanted list, making their mission infinitely harder. The Deep's podcast, in what might be the funniest, most scathingly relevant visual gag of the entire trailer, The Deep is shown hosting a Man of Fear-style alpha male podcast. Since the new Black Noir actor is terrified of Homelander and refuses to speak out of character, he just communicates using a DJ soundboard while The Deep rattles off terrible, misogynistic advice into a microphone. The studio is decorated with posters reading "Men Lives Matter," and he can do it, perfectly parodying modern toxic internet culture and the grifters who profit from it. It shows how Vought is using right-wing internet pipelines to radicalize normal citizens. Ashley's mutation. Season 4 left us on a massive cliffhanger for Vought's stressed-out CEO after Ashley desperately injected herself with Compound V to survive Homelander's purge. While she looks surprisingly normal in the quick flashes of new footage, there's a very strong fan theory that she is hiding a massive, grotesque mutation under a wig or a large coat. Whether she has a monstrous physical transformation or bizarre powers tied to her famously falling out hair, think a horrifying version of Medusa from Marvel's Inhumans, Vought is likely keeping her true form strictly under wraps to avoid a PR nightmare. A supernatural reunion and fresh faces. If you are a fan of showrunner Eric Kripke's previous massive hit show, Supernatural, you are in for an absolute treat this season. Not only is Jared Padalecki officially joining the cast, but Misha Collins is also set to make a highly anticipated appearance. This officially reunites the core Supernatural trio, along with Jensen Ackles' Soldier Boy, under Kripke's chaotic umbrella. While their specific roles are being kept tightly under wraps by Amazon, heavy theories suggest Padalecki might be playing a variation of Jack from Jupiter. In the comics, Jack from Jupiter is an alien-themed soup and the last remaining original member of the Seven who hasn't officially appeared in the live-action timeline, aside from a brief, bizarre adult film cameo on a TV screen in Season 1. Having Padalecki play an outcast, washed-up soup trying to make a desperate comeback in Homelander's new regime would be absolutely perfect casting. We also get our first look at a brand new, terrifying character, O Father, played by the incredibly talented Daveed Diggs. Blurring the horrifying line between church, state, and corporate greed, O Father is reportedly a disgraced soup who was ostracized from the public eye in the late 90s for horrific, covered-up crimes. Now, with morality out the window, he's seemingly been welcomed back into the fold by Homelander's regime. This move perfectly aligns with the twisted, hypocritical morals of characters like Firecracker, using religion as a weapon to control the masses. The Oval Office, a comic-accurate finale? The teaser leaves us with a haunting, unforgettable final image that sets the stage for the series finale. Homelander sitting arrogantly behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office, feet kicked up, a smug smile on his face. For longtime comic readers, this is a massive, highly anticipated callback. The beginning of the end in Garth Ennis's original graphic novels officially kicks off when Homelander outright invades and takes over the White House, slaughtering the president and leading to Butcher being sent in for one final, apocalyptic, bloody confrontation.